Dar Williams, followed by a track called Being There, the opening and title track from the first album from Martyn Joseph, who's with me in the studio tonight. Hiya, Martyn.
Hello, Bob. Nice to be here.
It's great, because I was saying that, we all enjoyed it so much when you came in last time. They had to get you back as quickly as possible.
Very kind of you, mate.
So how's the tour been going?
It's been going great. We've just literally finished about 22 dates in 25 nights, I think. So it's been really good. Having done many months of support tours, it's been nice to get out and do my own show, stay on for longer than 25 minutes. You know?
Who have you supported altogether?
Oh my gosh!
Because I saw you supporting Mark Cohen.
Yes, I remember that. I was chuffed that you were on the side of the stage there. Most recently was Art Garfunkel, and I was Mike and Mechanics last year, Celine Dion before. I've done Chris de Burgh for a few months, and Joan Armatrading and Beverly Craven, blah blah blah. Just lots and lots and lots. So that's great, and it's a way of getting out and playing in front of new people, and it's always a challenge because they don't want to see you, so you've got to try and win them over. But having said that, it was really nice to get out and actually play to a room full of people that actually came because they wanted to hear me.
So what sort of venues were you doing?
Well, I played the Borderline in London and sort of 300-400 seaters up and down the country, art centres, various places, some bigger than others. But it went really well. It was just a real nice response, and I enjoyed it. And it's also part of the creative process, because I find that when you're doing a support slate, you're playing for 25 minutes, you tend to get a bit safe. You know what works, and I enjoy the freedom to improvise a little bit more when you're playing live and stuff. And so I miss that, and therefore it's actually an important creative process for me to do my own live gigs.
And you're a talker to the audience, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I think
because I always like that. I always have done. Well, I think it's so great to hear about the songs and have a bit of communication from stage.
I guess so, especially most of my gigs at the moment are solo acoustic, and I think there's a time just to I try to make it more like a dinner party than a sort of us and them situation, and just chat and get to know folks and invite them to interact as well, and it makes for more of an interesting evening, and I do like to rabbit on a bit.
Because there's, if you like, less and less of you around these days, isn't it?
It's the diet. Well, it's true, I guess. I'm often being told by my record company how unfashionable I am. They love me and like what I do, but it's.
I'm always told the same thing.
But I think musically, if you look at the charts, there's some great stuff around. But lyrically, I'm not always so impressed, and I do despair of that sometimes. So I guess I think it's coming back. I mean, there are certain singer-songwriters that still are around. I mean, the Christy Moores of this world and the Troubadours that still go around singing their songs and telling their stories. And I guess I do fall within that category, and I think there'll always be a place. But we are being edged out to some degree by less than what I would,
So what does that mean to the sort of backup support you get then? I mean, for example, from the record company.
Well, I've been signed to Sony Music for 4.5 years now, and they've been very good. I mean, they knew what it was that they took on in that sense. That a singer-songwriter, the thinking man's Chris de Burgh, I think they wrote in the first couple of that sort of thing. But it is tricky when you think that, all right, to break through into the mainstream, you have to basically get within top 10, top 20. And the majority of singles are bought by 11 to 15-year-old teenagers on a Saturday morning once they've seen their Going Lives and programs and the latest teen band or whatever. So it's difficult for me to fit within that genre, quite rightly so, So you have to perhaps find other ways of breaking through. And it's a question, I think, of just keep doing what you're doing and keep throwing mud and see what sticks. And, come on the Bob Harris show and then do something else and just keep at it, But I mean, the good thing is I can play live. I will, if I can announce I'm doing a gig, then people show up, and that pays the bills.
Yeah. I mean, on the subject of the stuff in the charts, though, I mean, I was absolutely staggered and shocked by the comments of Andrew Lloyd Webber about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where, in a sweeping generalisation, he dismissed modern music as being, unworthy and all of this.
Oh, right.
And I thought, have you not heard Oasis or Pulp or any of these bands? Because, for me, people like Noel Gallagher are demonstrating that songwriting, far from being the neglected art.
Absolutely.
It's alive, thriving, and sounding probably better than ever.
I think so. I think there's an awful lot of real good stuff out there. But I think the stuff that seems, Oasis and Blur and Pulp, I think are doing a very important job. But I still think there's room for more rhetoric. There's room for more I would say edgy lyrics, people who are actually speaking into the culture. My favourite artists were always people that dragged you back into real life and not people that sort of just painted some sort of landscape just to make you escape for 5 minutes. Though, whilst I understand music is meant to entertain, I've always enjoyed people that took culture head on and just said, I want to say something about this. So you could hang your hat and say, I like what this guy's saying. It applies to my situation, and I think we need more of that.
Yeah. Well, there's a live and let live factor that I sometimes think is missing from people's equation of music. That I like my own style of music, but anything else is just dreadful and all this kind of stuff. And there's a young-old divide in this respect that I find occasionally actually genuinely offensive. That people of my age, I'm 49, would say, oh, they haven't made any decent music since the 70s. It's not like it was in the 60s. I mean, I find that as offensive as ageism at the other end, saying, well, you shouldn't be playing records on the radio at your age. You should have grown out of it. I mean, they're both equally as bad. Nods of agreement, actually.
Preach it, Bob. I agree with you totally. I mean, I admire and like an awful lot of different musical styles. I mean, I'm often if a music my albums get criticized, it's because often because they fall in a number of categories, musical styles and stuff like that. So I like and have an awful lot of influences. But I say the key thing for me is lyrics. It's what people are saying, and a lot of your basic top 40 stuff, I have to say, treats most people with very little intelligence. And as I say, I really enjoy something that cuts into the heart of society and is saying something, be it angry, sad, happy, or whatever, something that you can say, yeah, that's real, that's actually happening.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you tend to write from personal experience too, don't you, Martyn?
I guess I do. I kind of describe it these days as therapy. It saves the psychiatry bills instead of laying down and you something happens or you feel something deep. I mean, you've got Miles there, your boy, and I've got kids. They say something, whatever it might be, and instead of contemplating it too much, you actually write a song about it, and and then you let it set sail on the sea and hope it's of use for people. But yes, things that have happened. I do find it difficult to write about something that I can't feel or express. I certainly can't deliver a song or sing it. I've often had people give me songs and say, look, if you sing that's a top 10 hit, and I've looked at the lyric and I've just died of laughter because there's no way I could seriously stand on a stage and sing it, So personal experience, I think, is important, whatever is a catalyst, but I do tend to wear my heart on my sleeve,
Yeah, and why not?
Well, why not? Not someone needs to, don't
Yeah, exactly. So what's the first song going to be, Martyn?
Okay, this is a heart on my sleeve song. This is a song called Cardiff Bay, actually. Being a bit parochial, but it's about my hometown. And I noticed when Art Garfunkel's singing about where he comes from, the American singer-songwriters always sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Like New York and Nebraska and stuff. But if you come from Bognor Regis or somewhere...
Wigan,
But I thought I'd give it a go. So
okay.
This is what I came
Martyn Joseph it is, live here on GLR.
Took my son and his tear-stained face out of Sunday school. As chapel hymns began to fade away, I left his mother with the other as we drove across our town, going to the place where the seagulls and the cranes play. On a Sunday over Cardiff Bay, this is one day of our lives. And on this Sunday over Cardiff Bay, know that I love you all of my life. And the old man in the side street made you smile. He waved at us both, so we both waved back. Down on through Bute Street to the mud of the low tide. And they tear the old things down, my son, but some things stay the same. On a Sunday over Cardiff Bay, this is one day of our lives. And on this Sunday over Cardiff Bay, know that I love you hope you realize. We saw Captain Scott on the Terra Nova, and he was setting sail for Antarctica Sea. So maybe one day when you're older, you're gonna come down this way. Would you think of me? On a Sunday over Cardiff Bay. This is one day of our lives, and on this Sunday over Cardiff Bay, know that I love you. I hope that's all right. All of my all of my life, all of my life.
It's a song you'll find on Martyn's most recent album. It's called Cardiff Bay. Martyn Joseph with me in the studio here at GLR on this Wednesday evening. It's 9:29. I'm just going to link that song, if I may, Martyn, with a fax that's come in from Mike Ford in West Sussex. He says, would you do a dedication for my son, Andre, whose 10th birthday it is on Saturday? The message is, happy birthday and thanks for all the joy you bring me. Best wishes from Mike. So it seemed appropriate to link that one. Yeah. Don't forget our number, incidentally. If you've got any questions you'd like me to ask on your behalf of Martyn while he's here, 0171 224 2000. Phone that number anytime during the course of the evening for a dedication too. And if you want to fax us, 0171 935 0821. So writers that you've admired over the years, I mean, if you were to cover songs, you know, putting together a sort of cover album, like, for example, Sean Colvin's done recently.
Well, there'd be plenty of. I do Piano Man on guitar quite often in concerts. So Billy Joel, I suppose. When I first started listening to music, 70, the first single I bought, for instance, was Benny Hill, Ernie the Milkman or whatever, you know. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know if it's the greatest period again. And then it moved on to...
I'm impressed you admitted to it.
Well, I know, it's basically Rollers Glitter, it was that type of era. There was Bowie, of course. So I started listening to, and then Led Zeppelin, so I went down that route, and then ended up buying John Denver albums, and then started discovering Bob Dylan and Springsteen. So there would be Springsteen, Dylan... Joe, I guess I'm talking American song. Paul Simon would have been a major influence. So that sort of genre, I suppose, those sort of artists, Joni Mitchell, people like that, you know, those sort of people I was listening to at the time. Yeah.
And do you find, I mean, I was thinking, for example, about the recent tour that you did with Art Garfunkel, and I remember talking with the guys from Restless Heart a few years ago. They had a lovely single out in America called When She Cries, and they came over briefly to Britain to do a promotional visit, and they were absolutely ecstatic that one of the Eagles had played on their album, and they said, to have an Eagle on our album, it's just such a great feeling, you know. And therefore to have been a fan of Paul Simon and presumably Simon Garfunkel over the years, was it a strange feeling then going up on stage supporting Art Garfunkel?
Of all the tours I've done, that was the one where I sort of pinched myself and thought, wow, that's Mr. Garfunkel there, you know. I mean, all the tours were great, with respect to everyone, but I think Art Garfunkel was, because of the Paul Simon link as well. I mean, I think Paul Simon is probably one of the greatest, certainly in the last 50 years, in terms of contemporary music. He's one of the most fantastic songwriters. And of course, when I heard Art singing, I realised how much an important part he played in terms of his voice, because at that moment you didn't actually miss Paul Simon. Of course, you'd miss him if the song wasn't there, but Art's singing was fantastic. And I think of all the tours I've done, that was the one I thought, wow, you know, this is not bad for, you know, a lad from Penarth or whatever.
And did you strike up sort of conversations and stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We spent 5 weeks together. I mean, we had some unusual situations as well. I mean, when you spend 5 weeks with a person, you get to know them on all levels. So I saw some extraordinary things and some wonderful things at the same time.
And in fact, you caught a sort of ... in the middle of that question. But I was going to say, Mark Cohen. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
Oh, many times.
Yeah,
yes. I did. I think I told you on last show the story of Mark because he actually played on my first album. He sang. And he won his Grammy, I think, the next night for Best Newcomer. And then the next day after that, I'm walking down Manhattan because we were recording over there, and Mark was popping up the other way, walking his dog. I mean, in New York, and he was off to start this European tour. And I said, I'd love to open for you. And he said, well, why don't you? And I said, well, I don't know. So some calls were made, and they felt it would be a good idea. So that's how I ended up at the Dominion that night. Literally flew back just to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'd met him walking his dog on the street. And, but Mark is an absolutely delightful chap.
He is.
And I don't know exactly where he's at right now. I know his second album came out, but tremendous.
Working on his third one.
Is
at
he?
the moment.
Right, yeah.
He had a track on the Harry Nilsson tribute album in America, which came out a few months ago, and now I think he's still working on
busy.
it.
Yeah, we
the
should
new
be.
album.
I mean, he's great talent, and lovely guy. He just came in and sang some backing vocals on a track of mine called "I'll Be Waiting." It was just so natural. I mean, we just.
I don't remember you telling me that story about.
Didn't? How well?
But then we've established earlier that my memory is going.
So yeah, Mark. I mean, you do. I've met all these people, and I have to say, no one's been nasty, or everyone's been quite fine. Everyone has their moments, but the Art Garfunkel it was an experience. There were one or two. In fact, shall I tell you a story?
Yeah, go on.
The night we were doing, I was in the middle of that tour. the night we were doing, I was on your show last. He was actually down the road doing another interview on another station, slightly, should we say, less, a bit more frivolous than this one. A little station likely to take the Michael, and he should have been on this show. It was the wrong one for him to do, and they mentioned my name a couple of times in this interview, and he kind of the next day, that was it. He wanted me off the tour because he felt that I was getting too much coverage. And, it was all smooth over, but he's an interesting chap, and I do like him. But I had some wonderful experiences. I'll write a book about it one day. The support tours guide to who's who.
Play another song for us.
All right.
Martyn.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a bit of an exclusive for you, Bob, because I've been working on this on the train on the way up today. It's a storyteller song about a chap who was unjustly hung for something he didn't do in 1831. I'll let the story tell itself.
Thunder rolled and the rain came down St. Mary Street. And on this day thousands stood their ground, a silent crowd whose heads bowed in helplessness bid farewell. And the wife of a Richard Penderyn, supported there too weak to stand, disbelieving anger and sorrow for her innocent man. She said, lift me up, oh lift me, let me see the one I love. Lift me up, oh lift me, boys, let me see the one I love one more time. Broken by starvation and poverty, while the ironmasters sip their wine, young and old together march for justice, but the bayonet and the bullets what they find. And bread or blood had cried a collier, we've come too far lads now to run. And in our mirth the town in 1831 they were cut down by the government gun. And though he stood for everything they wanted, rose with his people on that day, well, it could not have been he who harmed the soldier, but some there with a grudge put him away. said they'd stitch him up someday. Despite petitions then and cries for mercy, and all the evidence had to say, neither king nor his parliament would listen. Even the judge was turned away. Hey Lord Melbourne, how are you sleeping then? With all the evidence in your face. Well, you shut down 24, why not hang someone? Got to keep those workers in their place. And he slowly climbs the steps to the gallows pole. The last few moments of a life, yeah. And his eyes survey the crowd of gallant Welsh. He's looking for his wife. He can't see his wife. She said, lift me up, oh lift me, boys. Let me see the one I love. Lift me up, oh lift me, boys. Let me see the one I love one more time. Louder and longer than the sound of guns is the memory of what was done. You can only trample people down for so long. Well, time will show you have not won. And long before all this, on a hill in Palestine, they strung another one up, say it was a friend of yours and mine, dying in the place of another one. But in the morning comes the sun. In the morning the sun. So lift me up, oh lift me. Let me see the one I love. Lift me up, oh lift me now. Let me see the one I love one more time. Let me up, oh lift me, boys. Let me see the one I love. Lift me up, oh lift me, boys. Let me see the man I love one more time. One more time. One more time.
Lovely stuff. You can see why we wanted to get Martyn back again as quickly as we have done, can't you? Martyn Joseph is with me here in the studio on GLR. It's 19 minutes to 10 o'clock on a Wednesday evening here. It's the Bob Harris Show. And, of course, I've got connections with your part of the world. My dad being born in Pontardawe. And isn't it lovely to see this young Welsh standoff doing so well?
Absolutely.
Born in Pontardawe. Yes. Everybody down there is extremely proud of him.
Taking all those risks as well.
Yeah, isn't he great?
It is. It's a breath of fresh air. I mean, in Wales, rugby is something of a religion, you know, and it's an incredible experience to go to the Arms Park there and sing that national anthem and feel the hoil, the hiriaeth, right. You know. So and when Wales are doing well, then everyone sort of has a smile on their face down there. You know, it's true. It's a serious business down there.
It's a national kind of lift. When
and even though we're losing, I think we're doing a lot better. You know, that sounds strange.
First time they've kept an unchanged side in several years.
That's
isn't
right.
it?
That's right.
I mean, we're in a good time for rugger. I think this young Scottish standoff as well.
No, it's
I think Gregor Townsend is really special.
It's going to be a great game on Saturday.
It will be the Grand Slam decider.
Yeah. I won't say who I'll be cheering from.
Followed by Manchester United against Newcastle on Monday night. I'm going to be a nervous wreck by the end of the sporting weekend.
Especially if they score goals like they were at Chelsea tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-1 final score. So immediate plans for the future now then, Martyn, because the tour is finished, isn't it?
Tour's finished. I'm sort of in studio, I have been sort of on and off. I have a studio at my house where I'm sort of, but I'm sort of making demos, but which have sounded particularly good, and having sort of made two lavish studio productions the last two albums, I'm thinking of perhaps stripping this one down and making it a little bit more like we've been hearing tonight, you know. So working on that, and I'll be doing a lot more gigs this year, another tour to make up for the times where I haven't been out there in the last few years. So
that'll include London.
Plenty of mud.
Plenty of mud. Keep throwing that mud. And that'll include London gigs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. I've got the latest CD in the CD machine here, Martyn. So pick a track for us if you would.
Oh gosh. Up tempo. Gift to me.
Right.
There you go. Got that? I don't know what it is. Number 2, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in there now.
There you go. All right.
Well, it's so good to see you again, Martyn. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Bob.
And here it comes. This is called Gift to Me.
It's sad with you, girl. Tell me what goes on in your mind. Have you seen the future? Can I walk with you there? Can I wipe the tears from your eyes? May the spirit never leave you. May it always be there by your side. And I realize that you are a gift to me, a song that's free, coming down in time and season, from a higher place, from higher ways, and a love that gives no reason. You're such a gift to me, a song that's free, coming down in time and season. Arms, letting you know that you are a gift to me, a sound that's free, coming down in time and season, from a higher place and higher ways, and a love that gives no reason. You're such a gift to me, the sun that's free, coming down in time and season, from a higher place and those higher ways, and a love that gives no reason. Such a gift to me, a song that's free, coming down in time, and such a gift to me, from a higher place, higher ways, from a love that gives no reason, gives no reason. Such a
Gift to Me is the title of the song. Track 2 on the latest album from Martyn Joseph, and thanks to him again for his wonderful music tonight.